Okay, hello everyone. I'm Hanley. I'm from the class of 2013 for the YPLF. I chose to do the exhibitor track, and this is my exhibit, How Sweet It Is, the story of honey production on stamps. I chose to do a honeybee-based exhibit mostly because I love both philately and honeybees, and I thought it would be a great way to merge my two favorite hobbies together into one exhibit. So I first want to start out by saying, look at the exhibit quick and see if you can see anything in particular that kind of has to do with colors. See anything? Some of you do. Well, I'd like to point out here that there are color patterns in the exhibit, that they create diagonals throughout the exhibit of red, green, and yellow, and I chose to do this because bees are attracted to contrasts in color patterns in flowers, particularly stripes and polka dots and very super bright colors like yellow and white. The most important part of understanding how the honey production is that it would never be possible without the queen. The queen bee not only lays all of the eggs for the hive, but she also emits a pheromone called the queen mandibular pheromone, and that gives the hive orders, helps control the emotions of the hive and what the hive's daily activities are. This queen bee packaging label is put on top of all labels of bees that are going through the mail to prevent extreme environmental changes. On this stamp, you can see how bigger and longer the queen bee is compared to the worker bee. She's very thin, very long, and she's usually a gold color. Aside from the queen, the worker bee is pretty much the star of this exhibit. The worker bee does everything in the hive except for mating and laying eggs. The worker bee is very small and agile, so she can zip right in and out of flowers all day long. The drone, on the other hand, is very short and fat. His only job is to leave the hive and mate with virgin queens to continue a line of strong honeybees. So now that you understand the rules of the hive, we can talk about actual honey production. It begins when the worker bee has left the hive and she is searching after flowers that the scout bee has previously marked out for nectar collection. Now when the honeybee leaves the hive, she's referred to in the beekeeping community as a forager bee. Her job is to go in and out of flowers all day and collect nectar in her nectar crop. Bees really, really love clovers and daisies, as depicted by most stamps with bees. The honeybee here, she dives in face first into the center of the flower, usually where the stamens are and the nectar-producing parts are, and she swallows the nectar into her honey crop. You can see here that her face is right in there and she swallows it, and inside of her body is the honey crop, or honey or nectar crop, which is located right beside the stomach. It does not have any digesting purposes, so the honey is safe, well, the nectar is safe, until she is able to reach the hive again. It takes about 150 flowers to fill her nectar crop. When it is filled, she'll return to the hive, but first she also pollinates flowers. These Thailand souvenir sheets all show honeybees face first collecting nectar and rubbing up against the stamens to collect pollen. And this particular one, you see tiny little pollen baskets starting to emerge. Pollinating is really important not only to the bees for food, but to humans and the animals and plants who are continuing on vegetables, fruits, and flowers. This postcard, while really personified and exaggerated, it really does a great job of showing pollen baskets. After the bee has finished filling her nectar crop and pollinating, she'll return to the hive. Now this part's a little gross, but it has to happen. Upon reaching the hive, the forager bee meets a carrier bee. And the carrier bee will take nectar from the honeybee and return it to the hive. But how they do that is the forager has to regurgitate her honey, where the carrier bee swallows it into her nectar crop and adds enzymes to help the fermenting qualities of honey. In this cypress stamp, you can see the carrier bees with their heads down inside the cells to, yet again, eke honey out and so they can ferment. Most cells are hexagonal, and they're a bit smaller than this, usually by about half size of these here depicted on this cachet. Now, honey has to ferment until there's about 19% water in the honey. It has to be at 19% so the honey does not mold, because any greater than 19% it will mold, and any less than 19% it will mold. Most beekeepers have a 10-frame ideal hive, as spoken about in this postcard from 1898, and it looks like this. It's very not hexagonal. It is square, and it can be they're average on this tall from the ground to here, and they can be a variety of colors. This stamp depicts the ideal hive as yellow and green, whereas this Russian stamp depicts it as a light cream color. Commonly, they're white, but other colors help beekeepers differentiate their hives. And it does not matter to the bees what color their hives are, because they usually remember, thanks to the green radicular pheromone, where their hives are. To extract honey from a ideal hive, you have to put it into an extractor where they use centrifugal force to whip out the honey. Another bee home is the bee tree, like the one on this cachet. Their average height is about the same here, depicted about to the knee height, and a bee tree is a chunk of tree that has rotted and hollowed out on the inside, where the bees have moved in and started to build free foam form. And to extract from a bee tree, you have to slice the bee tree open and scoop out the honey. Alternately, when keeping bees in a skep, it's a dome-like straw house, as depicted on these pictorial cancellations, you have to smoke the bees out with sulfur flames or dump the skep into completely cold water so that the bees leave or die off. And then you scoop out the honey. After you have honey, you can use honey for cooking, for allergies, for drinks, for just anything other than including bees. So I'd like to conclude this exhibit by reminding you to give honeybees a helping hand. It is a global issue, and you can tell by all of the stamps from all across the world that honeybees are not only important to me, but to everybody. Honeybees help pollinate and produce 1/3 of the world's diet. And without honeybees, you would not have 1/3 of your plate. All of your vegetables would be gone. Any of the flowers you like to put on your salads would be gone. Most of your salads will not even exist. So it's important to educate yourself with things like this exhibit about honeybees so you can help support your local beekeepers. And I'd like to conclude by don't let anybody put a bee sting. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
So all of the bees that collect nectar are female?
Yes.
Interesting.
All of the worker bees in a hive are completely female except for the drones. Yes.
So the queen bees don't live in the hive?
She lives in the hive.
She never leaves the hive.
She never leaves. Yes, please.
After the queen bee has mated once, does she mate again in her lifetime, or does she then die?
There is a time period of about 5 to 7 days where she'll mate pretty much continuously, and she returns to the hive. After that, she cannot fly because she is fat. Yes.
Could you point out some of your favorite pieces of flower?
Yes.
My favorite, and most in particular, is this hand-painted Glen cachet. I love it because it's so bright and colorful, and I really like the stamp. But my most absolute complete favorite is the 25-cent honeybee misprint, which was given to me by Mr. John Hotchner, and I love it so much. I wish I would have put it on my title page, but I wanted really bright and colorful things, and I thought it tied in well when I was talking about the growers. Yes.
How long for one period the egg is laid until it hatches into the bees?
For a queen bee, 16 days. For a worker bee, 20 days. For a drone bee, 24 days. Any other questions? Yes.
Is it easier to have a beehive or exhibit stamps?
About the same. About the same.
Could you repeat the question?
How is it easier to keep bees or an exhibit a bee collection? And it's about the same. Same amount of work, same amount of dedication, same amount of love.
I think the exhibit's cooler.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
What would you do differently with the exhibit? Are you going to add to
I
it?
have a ton of modifications. Like, I'm going to take away these recipes and I'm going to have in a bunch of honey revenues, I hope, to show that honey is the final product instead of just having these recipes. I have some of these first day of issue copies that I have that I'm going to replace with some more individual and more unique pieces that correspond with some more of the worldwide stamps and have their first day covers instead of just the US.
Did you get any feedback from the judges yet?
Yes, I did. My critique was actually, I think, pretty good. My judge was really, really nice about it. And he said, you know, if I just work on getting more of a variety of covers and showing more unique pieces, that I would do much better. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, I'll go to Richard first.
Are you planning to go to multi-frame?
I'm hoping to one day go to multi-frames. But right now, I'm kind of like stalled on one frame. It's going to might take a few more years, or if I'm lucky, just a few more shows. Yes.
That was my same question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Any others?
Great job.
Great job.